Hey guys, so in the last video I was talking about ambient swells, and towards the end of the video I mentioned that I was going to talk about chord shapes and kind of the way I formulate the chords for these ambient sounds. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. And just to remind you of the sound that we were talking about last time, it sounds like this. So that's what it sounds like, and I'm gonna turn all these pedals off now. I'm not really gonna focus on them in this video. I want to show you some chord stuff. So one of the things I talked about last time was the idea of kind of cutting back or rolling back the sounds within delays or reverbs that kind of are sort of unpleasant. And so I mentioned rolling back the repeats on my digital delay and kind of rolling back the decay on one of my reverbs in order to keep it from getting muddy. And that's kind of the same idea or concept that I'm going for here. So the idea is that within a chord, I like to only play the minimal amount of notes that it takes to make the chord. So for example, we can play an A chord on the guitar like this. There are 6 notes in it. It sounds like this. So that's a bar chord on the 5th fret, and the root being the A right here. So we've got 6 notes playing, but only 3 of them are unique. So we've got actually 3 octaves of the A note. We've got this one, and this one. So in my mind, really, if we're keeping with that mindset, I want to get rid of all the non-unique notes. So one way I might play that chord, for instance, is just to do the 1, the 5, and the 3. So that would sound like this. So that's cool because it kind of gets out of the way of all the crazy effects that are going on, all the delays and reverbs and the octave generators maybe. Just making it simpler so that things aren't crashing into each other in an unpleasant way. And one other thing to think about is, so maybe you realize how I played the 3rd of this chord all the way up here. Now you could play it like this. You could play the 1, the 3 right there, and the 5 up here. So you could play a chord like this. But hopefully what you notice, the difference there is that it's a lot muddier. All the notes are a lot closer together. There's not as much space between them. So if you space them out kind of the way I did with the 1, 5, and then the higher 3, you just create less frequency collisions and leave more space for the delays and reverbs to kind of do their thing. So that's cool. And another thing I like to do is even less notes. So a lot of times I'll completely take out the 5. So it'll just be like this. It'll be the 1 and the 3. So I'm just moving up and down the 6th string and the 3rd string, playing the 1 and the 3 for the chords that I'm in. So in that instance, it was an A, 1 and the 3, and an F sharp minor, and then E major. So, and then, that's really the basics for how I think about chords and all this ambient stuff. And you can do the same sort of thing moving over, having your root on the 5th string. So if I wanted to play a D, I could play the 1 here, the 5 here, and the 3 here. So that's the same thing. And the last thing I want to say is that when I'm using the POG, so the polyphonic octave generator, it's generating an octave up and an octave down from what I'm playing. So it's essentially taking those 3 notes, or 2, depending on how I'm playing the chord. It might be like this. And it's, basically tripling the amount of notes that are actually playing. So let me throw on the Micro POG here. So now it sounds like this. Right? So there's 3 octaves now of each note. So there's a lot going on now. And if I was playing a full chord like before, it just is a lot muddier as opposed to this. I know my hands didn't move a lot there, but I went from these 3, 1, 2, 3, now to a full chord. There's just a lot going on there, especially when you've got delay and reverb. So what I'm trying to say is when you've got octaves going on, you know, think about scaling back the amount of notes. The other thing is, since you know an octave below is being generated, it's cool to play up higher, right? So you've got these higher chords. So if I was just playing this chord by itself, this is a G all the way up here. If I just play it by itself, it's actually, the note down here is being added too, that low G. So it's cool because I can play up high, still get those low notes. But if I start moving lower and lower, like I play a really low E, sometimes those really low notes will start colliding because they start getting so low that it's hard to distinguish them really, and that can make your sound muddy too. So let me just throw all the delays and stuff back on and we'll see what we've got. So, you know, here's like a regular chord like this. So that doesn't sound bad by itself. You know, those are all 6 notes playing out of that chord, but you know, once you start taking stuff away, it sounds kind of cool. It sounds like this. Or you even go to 2 notes instead of 3. So hopefully that gives you an idea on some stuff you can play around with your chords for ambient stuff. And yeah, I mean, the overall principle here is just to take away the things that you don't need and provide some space between the notes. So try to reduce those collisions between really close harmonies or whatever. And that's it. Hope this was helpful, and I look forward to talking to you next time.